Welcome to Fatherhood for the Rest of Us with Brandon Handley. Because you're already great at everything else, why not fatherhood too?
Guys, this is Brandon Handley. I am on with Mark LaMaster, who is an author, speaker, coach. He is in Minnesota. He helps dads live a healthy lifestyle, leave a lasting legacy. And I'm laughing a little bit because this is take number 3 of trying to work alongside of modern marvels of technology. We're talking today about Friday Night Lights for fathers and daughters. This is Mark's latest book, one of 2. Dude, thanks for having me. Thanks for being on with me today, Mark.
Yeah, man, it's an honor to be here. Thanks so much for having me on your show.
Absolutely. And so Mark and I, we've been. He was on the podcast last year. I think you might have actually been like my first Facebook Live interview. If not like the first, it was like the second. So here we are again. It's nearly a year later, and I have not improved.
Yeah, you have, man. Come on.
Oh, man. Oh, no. So congratulations.
Thank you.
I know that this is one thing that we can celebrate right now. And it just cut again. So we're just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna stream it. I'm gonna put it up live afterwards. So I know this book is one thing that we can celebrate today. But what is something else we can help you celebrate today, Mark?
Celebrate today.
Yeah.
Man, that's wow. You know, it's fun. Today was wow, this is crazy. This is something I never thought I'd do. I'm not a pet owner. Mm-hmm. A dog owner, not a dog lover, used to not be. And today, for the first time in my entire life, we went on a pet walk. And I have never done that. I never dreamed I would do that. And it was crazy.
You said you went on a pet walk?
A pet walk.
What's that mean?
And so they had this thing. It's like a community event that you go and you help raise money for the local. It's called Paws and Claws of Rochester.
Okay.
That's what I did today. So that's what I did before I came on the show.
Right.
And I found myself just thinking, man, as a dad, you get to do some pretty amazing things because you do what your kids like.
Right.
And I never wanted a dog, and now I'm a dog lover, but growing up I wasn't. So my kids kind of gear you, they steer you into these different directions you never think you go. So
right.
That's what I did today. It was pretty fun because it's one of the nicest days we've had in a long time.
Nice. Awesome, dude. Well, let's celebrate it. Absolutely. Let's jump into your book too, man. Let's jump into your book. Let's talk about, the first book you wrote was for your son, and he's a younger child, right? Correct. Of the 2. And so, I think there was a lot of questions about whether or not you'd be writing a second one for your daughter.
Yeah.
And what was the catalyst for it? What was the process like? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, what was really interesting is that some people will ask, why did you write your first book for your son when he's younger, but not for your daughter? Mm-hmm. Well, and just kind of self-examining and looking back at that, I think it was really because I grew up with 2 sisters. So I felt pretty comfortable around girls at that age because I was the middle child between 2. So it was a little bit more natural for me to parent my daughter at that age. And my son, though, when he was 8, I didn't have a brother. So I had friends and I had a dad around the house, but it just wasn't the same thing. I just didn't feel like I was connecting. So I think it's partly that. I think it's just partly maybe personality differences, maybe being a little bit unsure of myself as a dad. To my son, what was I supposed to do? I had this kind of pressure on myself. I really just wanted to become a better dad to my son. And then for my daughter, it just seemed natural to do it again. Mm-hmm. But this book, the first book took me about 8 months to write, and that was my first book. My second book took about 1.5 years plus to write. Not that it took me that long to actually physically write it, but just to get the thought processes going. But I think there's just, I think there's a unique way that it happened because my daughter in her 7th grade year had a really challenging year. And I was able to grow a lot as a dad, learn a lot more about how to be a dad to a a preteen daughter. And I think that just made the book, it just enriched the book. And I think it'll really help dads who are experiencing some of those similar things.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. The, as I was reading the book, I could tell that there was a lot of research that went into it. I felt like you put a lot of effort into making sure that you were crossing your T's and dotting your I's.
Yeah. So I have a master's degree in nursing, so I'm kind of natural. I like to do research anyway, but not in the same, it's a different way. So I'm kind of more, I guess doing research is important to me because I want to get the facts right. And I really wanted to help kind of solidify the points that I was making that were on my heart to write about. And so there was definitely a lot more research in this. And the good news, I think, for dads is that over time, there's more and more research coming out about why do dads matter. And, we were talking about the book by Paul Rayburn called Do Fathers Matter?
Right.
And it came out a few years ago. And this is one of the most intriguing facts that I found, is that up until 2006, only about 11% of all the research that was done on parenting was father focused. The rest of it was all mother centric. Mm-hmm. And so that's improving now more and more with events like we're going to, like the Dad 2.0 Summit,
right.
Your Fatherhood for the Rest of Us blog, podcast, all of those things. Dads are just becoming more and more aware of why we matter, and that science is now proving that. So there was a lot more research in the book. Absolutely.
Right. Awesome. No, and it showed in a great way. Let's talk a bit about the book outlay, which I think is really a unique way. It's similar to your first book, the way you had done it for your son. Yeah. But I enjoy what you've done again. But let's talk about how you've got your 10 life lessons, what you've done to develop these episodes, and the outlay of what people can expect when they pick this up.
Yeah, so I really believe that dads engage, connect, and grow when they're doing something with their kids. Certainly the conversation's important. Certainly creativity is important. But dads just like to do stuff. And so for my daughter, I wanted to pick something that she could look forward to every week as well, or every activity that we do. Mm-hmm. And so I decided to kind of go with something that was culturally relevant. And that is, there's this huge thing with Netflix or Hulu or Prime, TV episode binge watching. We binge watch these things. And so every episode or every activity is based around an episode. And what's cool is that the dad and the daughter actually can work together to co-produce their own TV season full of activities and memories. And life lessons are taught on each one of them. So it makes it just a little bit more fun, some novelty to it. But it's culturally relevant right now. And I thought that was really important to include in the book.
Absolutely. Yeah. Staying, being timely, right? It's not like you're like, hey, you're going to need to get dressed up in like some Shakespearean garb and reenact.
Exactly.
Like we had to do in high school back in the day.
There you go.
There's a lot that I enjoy about this. Another thing that I want to ask is, when you would actually ask me for the endorsement, you were like, hey, you should go ahead and write a book. You'd be great at it, which I took as a great compliment. But the question I have is, how have you found that writing these books has impacted your parenthood?
Wow. In probably more ways I can explain here, but certainly it's really helped me to be focused, to take action, and to be intentional with my kids. And so because I'm doing the research, I now am informed. I'm an informed parent. I'm an informed father, right, that knows how important it is to engage with my kids. Instead of just being the culturally relevant dad that is the provider or is the disciplinarian or whatever kind of labels that we've had in the past, but that it really helps me to say, okay, yes, I need to provide for my family. I need to, set some boundaries here and some rules down. I need to be a loving husband, all of the other things, but dad doesn't need to be at the bottom of that list. Dad should be more at the top, especially while our kids are in our house.
Right.
And we have this finite set of time, period of time that that we're raising our kids. And so writing the book is just opened my eyes to all the things out there that it makes us important and necessary in the lives of our kids. So that's probably the way that the book has really helped impact my fatherhood.
Awesome. I see you write a lot too, just about like the intentionality. One of the things that I always find is like how we as dads are the models of the men that you say that, you'd like your daughter to like marry or find, right? Or that you would like your son to turn into, right? Do you find yourself like doing many course corrections so that you're modeling the behavior that you want them to see?
Probably every day.
Yeah.
I just know that I'm not a perfect dad, and I make mistakes often. Words come out too fast. Tone isn't right. I lose my patience. There's so many things, but if I can take that and apologize and say, hey, Lincoln, I'm trying to do better. I messed up. I'm so sorry. Or Hannah, there's no way I should have said that, or that's not the way I should have responded to that. Then there's that trust that's built between the two of us. But absolutely, they're looking to us. Both our sons and daughters are looking to us to really understand how to act and how to just live life. They're looking to us because we're that first person they see. And so it's probably one of the most important jobs we'll ever have is to be a dad. And sometimes I think we can take that for granted. In fact, I think we can do it every day, and just need to kind of remind ourselves, hey, this is one of our most important roles, is to be that person, to be a dad.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. The process of writing the book this time took you a little bit longer. I feel like your daughter played an awesome part in this one too. She gave some really in this book. You've got Hannah's take, right? Do you mind if I read like this is just out of chapter 1, just kind of like her take on, which I thought was really great. And how old is she now? How old was she?
She's 14. She was between 13 and 14 when she wrote it.
Okay, so this is like Hannah's take on the chapter on choosing what's called my one word. So when I first thought about choosing my one word, I was overwhelmed that I'd have to keep it forever. I want you to know that it's all right to change your my one word throughout the different times of your life, your school year, or even every year. For example, I started last year with my one word being courage, and I've since changed it to trust. The whole point of choosing a word is to help guide you toward God, not to stress you out about finding the perfect word, which 13 years old, I thought it was very insightful, but to me, it also speaks volumes of I feel like the work being done at home. And so I was proud for you to read that in there because I thought that was really awesome. And she just sounds like a very mature daughter, and is really kind of paying attention. And even like one of the first like major chapters is like you guys are kind of decide on what to do on that day, like go to church, do a sermon online or something like that. And she goes, let's go to church. And you kind of grumbled about it and whatnot, but you went in anyways, and it led to your baptism and hers at the same time, which I thought was just like such a moment to cherish. But it was led by your daughter, and you kind of followed her path in that moment, and opened your eyes in such an amazing way. And I thought that you captured that story in here really well.
Thank you.
What was the toughest? You got some tough things in here. Like if I were to go through, if I go through the season, do you mind if I go through the season? Do you want to go through the season real quick?
Go for it.
So, I mean, you got your episode, 1 is the pilot, which is Believe. The theme is faith. Episode 2 is SI versus SI, which was Sports Illustrated versus self-image, right? If I got that correct, yeah.
Yep.
Friends versus frenemies, waffles and Wi-Fi, which I loved. I just made me want to go to a Waffle House just reading the beginning of the chapter. Dream and do, gratitude, which is huge. Wait, that is the body or the time. A sticky situation, draw near, in the season finale, I wanted to ask you, and the sticky situation was like teen sex. Talked about boys and boundaries. What were some of the hardest ones for you to write? And my imagination says you had to kind of go through all these yourself.
Yeah.
And which ones were kind of the toughest ones for you to go through?
Well, I think at every stage, all of them had some challenges.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what to add, what not to add. What is the right topic? What is, how do we do this? And I would definitely say that the one on the teen sex and the boundaries was tough, but just because I'm putting my beliefs out there, and it's completely countercultural. But I just was emboldened that that's what I believe. And so to put those things out there it may cause a little bit of people to say, why is he doing that? Or maybe we should do that. So it's not to be controversial. It's just to be what I believe. So those are hard to say, okay, I'm putting that out there. Mm-hmm. Just some of the things that you when you write about, it's going to be in print, and that people are going to question that, like, really, that really happened to him. One of the parts I talk about is I get into it briefly, not in too detail, but just to show dads that, I went through a period of depression and anxiety, and that's hard. It's easy to type, but it's hard to say, hit the submit button when it goes to the publisher.
Sure.
Because it's out there. And so there's a variety of things. But I think each chapter in its own self had some challenges that was hard to write about. So just to pick one, I don't know if I could right now, Brandon, just to be honest.
Yeah. No.
And some days you're just on when you're writing, and some days you just can't find the words to, you've written your book now, and there's some days it's just like so easy to write and things just come to you. And then I wouldn't say I had writer's block, but just the right words weren't coming to me.
Sure. No worries there, man. The one of the other chapters I think it was the Sports Illustrated, the pie baking. I thought that was really cool. Talk a little bit about that, just real quick, and how you kind of came up with even putting those two together. That was great.
Yeah. So really, I just started thinking about some of the memories that I had with my daughter when she was younger, and I would work 2 days a week as a helicopter nurse, and then would have 5 days off. And so I had a lot of time to be with my daughter and my son. And one of the things we were able to do was to bake, and I love to bake. And so that is just something that we were able to, helping count and measure and all these different things, what ingredients and how does it turn out. But so I wanted to really honor my grandma and my daughter at the same time, and just kind of, put everything together. But at the same time, we always think that there's people that are better than us, right? We always think that, how can we be like them or whatever? And how did they turn out that way? Or why do they have these gifts? But at the end of the day, we're all made from the same ingredients. Right. And there's just that metaphor between the two that just struck me one day. And I just wanted to say, no matter what, you can follow the instructions to the T, use the same ingredients or the brand name experience, and at the same time, you can make it look like the magazine you think it's going to turn out, but it's going to be different. And that's unique. That's unique to you. Right. And that you're made in God's image, and you're made perfectly in his image. So it was just a great way for me to explain that to my daughter. And I thought it'd be really beneficial for other dads too.
I thought that was awesome, Mark. I really thought. Cool. I really did. I enjoyed. Also, maybe one apple pie. But I just enjoyed how you took the two. Again, like you said, you're like, hey, this is, and you talked about it too in the beginning. You just said, hey, look, we talked about the airbrushing, and like almost like every picture that you see out there is set up and retouched and all this. It's not even real at a certain point. And you did the same thing. You took a picture of an apple pie, and you made an apple pie, and they're not going to come out looking the same way. And I just loved how you did that, Mark. So really cool. Thank
you.
Another thing that I keyed in on and I enjoyed as well was I think it's actually one of the last chapters in the book where you talk about valor, using valor, and your daughter helped you kind of find that last. It was like the last chapter, right, that we get into, and you're just like you're looking for something, and she actually helped you with coming up with the final one there. Once you I don't think I'm going to capture it just as well as you did. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So when I started kind of going through the process of outlining the book and coming up with what I wanted to do, I always thought this book would be about how to help our daughters become Proverbs 31 women. And Proverbs 31, there's Proverbs 31 ministries. There's some great ministries out there that kind of center around that for womanhood. Mm-hmm. And I even wrote about it in my first book. But at the same time, there's a lot of, I don't say controversy, but just negative connotation with Proverbs 31 because it's literally describing the perfect woman. And there's no way anybody can be that perfect woman. It would just be like men being compared to Jesus Christ, who never sinned, never did anything wrong. He's the perfect being, right? So it was really interesting when I wanted to do something with that chapter. I was blocked because I had some people just telling me, "Hey, don't do that. It's not good." Huh. But I found this interpretation from the Jewish Orthodox Bible of all places, and the phrase is "eset chel." I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation in Hebrew or not. So
you're not going to get the correction from me. That's for sure.
Okay. Anyway, it says, so what we're normally used to reading in the Bible is the NIV or the New Living Translation, all these different things, is that it's kind of more the nurture connotation. Mm-hmm. And what the Jewish Orthodox Bible does is it says that, translate that is to nurture and a woman of valor. And that has that warrior-like feel to it that us guys understand, right?
Yeah.
So women, I want my daughter to be a young woman. I want her to be a nurturer, but I also want her to be a warrior. She needs that. And our moms are warriors. Right. The women in our lives are warriors in their own right and in their own way. So to be able to point her in that direction instead of just the nurturer one was really powerful for me. And I want dads to be able to understand that that's how we can lead them to that direction instead of just the nurturer part, because that's important too. Yeah. But to have both of those is powerful. So
yeah, I mean, I would dare to say that when we talk about our wives and the mothers of our own children, I know my wife is quite the mama bear, right? They always talk about being like the mama bear, but I think that the warrior within and the women, that assertiveness, it's innate, you know what I mean? And they've been taught, I think, a lot to shy away from something that's innate, to almost repress that. So I really enjoy you celebrating that and leading your daughter into that. And I think that should also be applauded. What I enjoyed though too is that you did something very similar with like the aegis you wrapped a little bit of warrior in both your children in both the books, and I thought that was kind of neat. What was your favorite part about doing the book, man? Like,
Well, there's a phrase that writers like to have written, not to write. I do love the writing process, but to have it in hand, in that physical copy in your hand is just awesome. But I think what I would say about this book is is really the partnership that my daughter and I had together. What you talked about with that Hannah's take, she just took it on, and my hope and my prayer for what that would do for readers is allow them to see, okay, this is somebody my age, something more relatable to the daughters. Mm-hmm. And she, I think in her voice and her writing style, was able to capture that in every single one of those. So It was cool to be able to partner with my daughter. In fact, on the back cover of the book, I have this really cool picture of my daughter and I that my sister actually took. Yeah. And it's just, I mean, there you go. You got it. Nice. And it's just so cool to be able to share these dreams and these projects with my kids as they get older.
Right.
And so I think that's probably the coolest part about the whole process for me, is that she was able to be a part of it.
Very cool. If you look back, before you even started this journey, would you be able to say that you'd see yourself here? Be 2 books behind you and be an author and kind of going through all this?
No, not at all. I was on this track. I got to be a flight nurse, which I always say that's the favorite job I'll ever have, just because I got to be with people at their most vulnerable times, and got to go back to get my master's degree, do these things. So I was kind of doing that corporate world. And if I look back on it, I think I was being selfish. I was really self-focused. And once I turned that around, and I still am, it's hard. It's something, like I say, sometimes every day. But once I start turning that around and saying, hey, how can I help others? How can I serve others?
Right.
I've just come alive. I feel alive. And so, but that switch it's not just a flip of a switch for me. It's been this gradual change. So to answer your question, no, I would have never seen myself doing this. If I didn't make that slow change, I'd still be, working the 60 hours a week and living somebody else's dream.
Do you feel like now you're actually living your own dream, living your own life? Do you feel, speak a little bit to that? Because this is something you and I talked about, was stepping into your greatness, right? Like, how does it feel to be leading a life of your own choosing?
Yeah. So, I'm not all the way there yet.
Yeah,
I still have lots of things that I want to do and feel led to do. But I think initially when I started making that change and understanding what my true calling was and what my purpose was, I thought that's the only thing I could do. And
what was the only thing you could do? I'm sorry.
Was to just write, speak, and coach. Like I had to make that work right away.
Oh yeah.
And man, it doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't
and
work.
So it's this slow build. It's this not overnight success thing. It's over time. It's meeting people like you and saying, hey, there's other guys that are doing in the same space, doing their thing, and just embracing that and encouraging them.
Right.
And so I think it's just, you have this vision of where you want it to be, but it doesn't necessarily end up there. Right. So you just keep going after your dream, and it might, and be flexible enough to see that it might take a few failures, man, I was way off on that. But I just know that I'm still pointing in the direction I need to go.
Right.
It just my GPS might change a little bit.
What would you tell somebody that comes up to you and says, hey, I'm thinking of doing XYZ. My heart's telling me to do this. What do you think, Mark?
I'd say go for it. Take action. Yeah. Start doing something. Don't just talk about it.
Right.
And be patient with it. Yeah. And I think the key to it all is just be consistent and know that take it a day at a time. And over time that builds.
Yeah. What was it for you that got you to take those first steps, right? What helped you to overcome any fears or potential failure?
Oof. Well, definitely my wife supported me 100%. She still is my biggest fan, which is awesome. So that is an advantage, I think, that some people may not have.
Yeah.
The other thing too is that I allowed myself to reach out to others for help instead of being so proud that I couldn't do it myself. In fact, when I first started my first book, I thought, okay, I will just write the book. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'll write it. I'll market it. I'll get an agent, get published, blah, 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 the whole thing. But it just didn't feel right. It didn't work right. So I reached out to a coach and, I was coached along the way, and I still use coaches for many things. And that's what has helped propel me along the way and keep me sustained and keep me focused and going forward. Yeah. So to allow others to lean into others to help, to seek out help, that's huge.
Yeah, no, that is huge. And you're coaching now too, right?
Yeah.
What does coaching with Mark LaMaster look like?
Yeah. So I have I, when I coach, we have a conversation, and there's nothing super formal or informal about it. It's just, I like to get right to the heart of the matter. Where are you at right now? Where do you want to be? And how do we get there? And so it's not this formal, we have to do steps 1 through 3, all these different things. It's just what is on your heart right now that you need to get off your chest?
Right.
Where do you want to go, and how do we get you there? So, I really enjoy it. I think that's one of the things that makes me come most alive is that when I have a conversation with another dad. The key to that, though, is the dad has to be willing to say, I need help.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And with the things that you're doing in fatherhood for the rest of us, and what other dads are doing in our space is saying, hey, it's okay to talk about this stuff.
Right.
It's okay to admit that we're not where we want to be as dads.
Yeah.
So all those things are great. Once I get to be able to talk to a dad and help coach him, he has to be ready to be coached.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah.
So that's a big step for dads to take that step. So, but that's kind of what it looks like with me. I mean, it's we do phone calls, and I help give them some resources, and then we just do check-ins and follow things up. So it's pretty relaxed, pretty chill, but it's also, I'm going to be on him. I'm going to hold him accountable.
Sure.
And that's why coaching works, is because you're held accountable to what actions to take.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I find that the dads, the men, they want to be challenged. They don't want to just give you, be like, so we're just going to do this. Yeah, just go ahead and go do it. They're like, they want the little push. They want the little bit of ass kicking. To put it bluntly, it's just like, all right, well, I'm not going to get up and move until somebody's yelling at me or something. That's what I'm finding a lot of too. Is just like, they don't just want to be coddled. They don't want to be handheld. They're here to take action and to move past where they've gotten themselves to at this point.
Exactly. We need somebody to push us along. Absolutely. Yeah. And we thrive on that because we like to accomplish. We like to reach our goals. We like to be be the king of the hill, if you will. So
sure. Yeah.
That's how we do it.
Why not? Mark, I want to say thanks, man. I wanted to let people know about this book. And when does this book come in live?
Awesome. So it officially becomes available on May 23rd, which is actually a really cool date. It's my wife and I's 20th wedding anniversary. So that's why we chose the date. And so it was to honor her because she's been such a huge help to me. That's awesome. So live, but you can get it for pre-sale now on most online bookstores. Okay. Amazon probably being the most common one that people see it. So yeah, you can get a advanced a pre-sale. And right now, what Amazon does is they offer the book for a reduced rate. That's how they do it. So it's about $5 off the normal price right now. Nice. So a good time to get it, and then it'll be shipped on the 23rd. So
awesome. So we also have Father's Day coming up. So it's prime for Father's Day. And you've also, if people have not already picked up your other book, it's Friday Night Lights for Fathers and Sons as well, right?
Correct. Absolutely.
And it's got a real similar theme, guys, where there are activities. It is faith-based. I'm not a faith-based person per se. What I will say, though, for anybody who's like, not, we'll just say into it, don't go into it like that, and you'll really be able to take a lot out of there. I think, Mark, you did an awesome job with that book. You talked about ceremonies. That is something that's missing from a lot of today's culture. We don't have like these transitions from boyhood into like the next levels of boyhood. And you've been able to capture that in both of these books. So huge applause for you, what you're doing. And like I said, we got the opportunity to meet. So Mark is not only real and tangible, he's really got a huge heart. I saw you interact with everybody there. And what was great was you were 100% genuine with every interaction, 100% authentic with every interaction, and you treat everybody with kindness and love, man. I thought it was really great to see and get to meet you like that.
Hey, man, right back at you. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate you endorsing my book. I don't know if I've gotten to say that enough.
Yeah, but man. Absolutely.
It was so exciting to, get your email back and say, yes, absolutely. And,
For sure.
And it really means a lot that you took the time to write an endorsement and even to be doing this. So thank you so much. I really mean it. Thank you.
Got it, Mark. Yep. We'll cut it there, brother. I'm going to hold up this thing. This will be my cut mark.